I think the unwritten law is to appear not to need anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody will do you a favor when you don't need one.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
DIY.
50 Cent, man, how far 50 Cent has come. If anybody remembers that first initial run in the early 2000s of 50 Cent, could you have seen this? As 50 Cent has pivoted from making music into the TV industry with shows like Power and Ghost, he's given a lot of game. He's talking here to Brian J. Roberts, and in this conversation, which is just filled with gems, he talks about what he feels like is the key to gaining support for your ideas. Listen to this real quick.
My interest in money is me being able to do what I want to do when I feel like it's like not just fly on a jet when I get ready to, or cars or the house. I'm talking about if I want to make the series and they don't understand how good the series would be, I'll go make the series now.
Before this part of the conversation happened, they were talking about how 50 has been able to launch on these ideas independently of major TV networks before he got involved with like a Stars and other platforms. He was saying that at some point, he's obviously made a whole lot of money, not only in just music, but in Vitamin Water and all of his investments. He said that his interest for money changed because he knew that money was going to be the pathway towards at least starting these ideas himself.
DIY.
AKA DIYing.
I got the writers, I put the thing together, I produce it, I make the series, I license you the series. If you would have saw it, you could have bought it. But now that you couldn't see it, you can license it and I can have the money after a few years, you just reverts back to me.
So he's saying that now that he's into this other industry of television, part of his biggest weapon to gaining leverage, to creating leverage, is using the income that he's been able to generate to get the full staffs needed to launch on these TV show ideas that he has. These books that he put out. Remember G-Unit books? Like, this is something he's been having in the works for a long time. And he's like, that gives me the power to then put these shows together, show you, oh, hey, you remember that deal I tried to bring to you for this TV show that you told me no to? That's just making money. So what you can do, now that it's making money, because I could just walk out of here and say, hell no, I'm going to let you license it. You can get a smaller piece of the pie. Shout out 50, man.
It makes the lap make sense. It makes the final lap make sense. Because when we look at the income off of it, it makes all of the things that I do on the other side minor for the year. Put yourself in the position of someone who's you're a producer, you're getting ready to sell this project to the network, right? What the difference between my interactions with them is, I think the unwritten law is to appear not to need anything. Right? Because everybody will do you a favor when you don't need one.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Did you catch that? Appear as if you don't need anything, and people will find a way to bring you help. They want to be involved. You don't have a movement unless you're moving. It's very interesting that when you start to do things and you start to gain momentum doing them in your own way, it may not happen initially in the beginning, but you'll start to see support come out of the most random, weirdest places when you start it yourself. It's one thing to describe your idea to someone. It's another thing to show them this idea and the proof of concept.
When you do need it,
Forget it.
you have a unique and special situation if someone wants to help when you do need it. But when you don't need it and you could potentially do a bigger favor for them in return at some point, most people find it a lot easier to do you that favor that you did, right? So when you come in and I'm not saying, please buy this show from me. I'm saying, look, this is an opportunity for us to have some success together. This is gonna work whether you like it or not. Like, this is the Stars component when I still have a deal. When I say I have 30 shows across 10 different networks, and like now and coming, and development coming out, they had to tell me no 23 times.
They done told 50 no 23 times. 23 times, as if the man has not shown his ability to create success in many different industries. Even when you think about the collaboration book that he did with Robert Greene in the 50th Law, when you think about the deals that he was able to lock in on and make it early investments on with Vitamin Water, when you think about how G-Unit was much more than just a rap group, how G-Unit became a multifaceted brand that had G-Unit authors and G-Unit books, G-Unit clothing. You have to believe at some point in time, like, the man knows what the hell he's doing. He knows how to keep in touch and keep a pulse on what people are tapped into. If 50 Cent having as much success as he's had over all these years, all these generations, where he's able to find a way to be relevant in whatever time, even if it's not musically, just in the conversation of television. If he's getting no's, what you think that mean for the rest of us that ain't doing that? Don't be discouraged by the no's. I understand that there's a segment of my audience that still want to get in the music industry. You want to change it. You want to be involved in that. Cool. But understand, when you go into these rooms and you look like you need them more than they need you, to me, that's how you get these niggas on tables dancing to their song. I'm sorry, Bobby Shmurda. That was a younger you. That's how you get them situations. When they know that you just happy, you can't wait to sign that contract. You so happy, you gonna dance on the table. When they know that, why would they give you a favorable deal? They know you do it for anything. If anything, they trying to figure out how low will you go. Hey, yo. So 50 is giving gems in terms of how do you, as an independent, because he's talking about as an independent TV show creator, as a producer. I'm talking about as an independent artist, a DIYer. The way that you create that leverage is to create something that you're saying, I don't need nobody to come save me. My fam, my crew and I, we gonna make this a success by any means necessary. That way, when they come and cut a deal with you, you're bringing something to the table they want to be a part of. And you could walk out the room at any point in time and say, I don't need this. Hell no. Make the answer hell yes. To me, if you want to get in the industry and you want to make sure you don't end up one of these terrible ass stories out here, you got to create that leverage. How do you do that? By starting on your own, getting some motion. And you know what's funny about that? By the time you start recognizing the motion that you are getting, you may not be so eager to let that go, especially when you know that you're getting the majority of your income.
23 times they told me no, and another network told me yes. And I'm batting 100 on their network. Everything that I've released with them is a success.
Crazy.
The highest rated shows they have. When you start saying, oh no, I had this idea, I want to do it my way, then you lose out on all the content that I was contractually obligated to give you.
Ain't that crazy how enter a creative into a business deal, enter a corporate entity into the business deal. The corporate entity has money. The artist wants to scale and they need the income for their ideas that they want to scale on. The creative strikes a deal with this corporate entity. They come together in a partnership. The reason why this creative was ever on their radar was because they figured out the creative aspect of it. But isn't it interesting how many stories we hear of the person who is not licensed to be a creative, who don't know shit about it, that's why they're paying for their investments in creativity, is now wanting to give input to 50 Cent on how to be a better creative? Not that you shouldn't have any say in your investments, but let the professionals be professionals, especially if you feel like they're professional enough to invest into. It's weird.
Because I did not miss one time the entire time. If you would have took that, you'd have been all right. But now, someone should get a bucket and start throwing water over the side because the boat got a fucking hole in it, bro. You can't see it sinking? The shit is sinking right in front of everybody.
Hey, 50 Cent ain't changed, bro. I don't care if you put a suit on 50 Cent. 50 Cent is still 50 Cent. I love it. 50 continue to bully him through because they're not used to someone who comes from a Jamaica Queens operating that way. They're not used to seeing rappers that are able to articulate their points, that are able to speak up for themselves and not feel like they're out of their league. It's funny how many times I share my music when I'm doing video clips like this, or share that I'm going and I'm doing in shows, how many folks in the audience are like, I don't think that you rap. You know why? You've been fed the Kool-Aid that rappers are dumbasses that don't know how to articulate themselves if it's not in a 16 bar or a hook. If it ain't a beat in front of them, that nigga ain't that smart. You have been fed that, and I'm sorry to tell you, there's a lot of us out here. We're mostly in the independent space, because that'd be kind of weird to find us in a place where we're getting taken advantage of, because how smart could we ultimately be? So as we start to get into this new phase, DIYers,
DIY.
I just want you to see that it's not just conversations we have in this video content. It's not just conversations we have amongst our independent peers. It's happening in every industry. And as AI starts to make its way in and these corporate companies try to leverage and figure that out, you still need creativity for the prompts. I read in a book before AI even took off about how the author's prediction was that creativity will become more of an asset than it's ever been in human history. When I think of a 50 Cent, what makes him powerful is the fact that he has the ideas, but also the financial backing to do it by yourself. Many of us don't need the kind of deals a 50 Cent will get. We don't need $50 million. Speak for your damn self, Curtis. I'm not talking to you then. I'm talking to you. I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to the other person behind you. Man, just pay my phone bill this month and they'll figure it out. Like, I'm talking to them. For those that are out there like that, that success is attainable. Somebody dumber than all of us has done it. What you have is what you have. Start with what you have. But don't ever look at this and let somebody else with their fucked up lens tell you that ain't gonna be shit. How could they know? They're not even qualified to tell you. Why you let these people who don't know about music translate what great music is supposed to sound like? DIYers, it's our time.
DIY.
What you do with it is what you do with it. And I'm always gonna tell you, probably more so them than you, keep the suits out the booth. Those are my thoughts though. What y'all think? I recently went on tour and gained a new perspective. In this post-pandemic world where not a job's protected, who was I to think my rap profession was the exception to a worldwide recession? Here's my new direction. You see, I still be selling CDs by the physical. I put my logo on the T and then they Venmo through. The only problem is the profit go to the venue too. So I got to thinking, what if I did this in my living room? The inspiration came to me from Thursday and La Russell, just independent artists that's redefining the hustle. Like piece together the puzzle, I'm redesigning this place. Like right there can be the stage, or light it and set a date that you can watch me. Right there in the comfort of your home, no overpriced drinks or parking and towing zones, or openers on a show rapping all night long. Turn my songs into a movie, you can watch it from your phone, that's how you broadcast. This is DIY, let's make a podcast. Well, it seems about right. You see, the very same room I do interviews anytime. Now, why would I want to sign when I am the co-sign without a staff? I automated and OBS and no BSing. I'm hoping you finally get the message. It's finally feeling leveled. The time we live in is special. I know it can be so stressful, but the devil is a lie. We are DIYers.